Hey, Coach. Can you hear us okay?
Here you good. Yep.
Okay. We are ready to get started, and we'll start with Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Dave. I hope the bye week treated you well. Andy mentioned during it that he wanted Harrison to take a step back and just kind of reevaluate and get a fresh look on this kicking extra point situation. What's your gauge on it as you kind of enter the second half of the year here?
Yeah, that's exactly what he did, and we're on the same page with that with Bucker. He had a good week off. You tell a guy to take a rest and get away from it for a while, but not Bucker. He's not going to do it. So he's going to go out there and kick, and he did it. And he came back yesterday, and he was really hitting the ball well, and he really looked good in practice. Hopefully, we put another day together today. So far, so good.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, you added a familiar name with Tommy's brother into the practice squad. What can you tell us about him? What led to that? And then Brad, I'll have a follow-up.
Well, Johnny is, he's a good punter coming out. A few years back, the Raiders drafted him. We liked him coming out as a guy, and he was on the street and he was available. Somebody that could come in. It was a really good idea by Veach to bring a guy in just in case, the COVID thing hits us. It hits one of our guys, that we have a guy that's in the building tested that we can just plug in there and plug and play. So, he's a guy that can come in and punt for us. He can be a holder. If Bucker went down with COVID, if he was out, then we would probably kick with Tommy, and then Johnny would be the holder. So, they're interchangeable parts. One guy can fit a lot, do a lot of things, and that's why we have him here. It's a pretty good idea by Veach.
And Johnny obviously has a little bit more experience at the NFL level and has done holding a little bit longer. Would you ever, with 48-man rosters, would you ever consider, giving a push to have a second guy that, could hold kicks on game day and let Tommy just focus on punting?
We would just work him in practice. He's a practice squad player that we would work in practice just in case. He's an emergency guy, strictly. We would never, I don't think there would be a situation where he would come in, for Tommy unless we needed it, unless we had to have it, But it's a good luxury to have, to have a guy like that can plug in. And I'll tell you, he's a really good fit too. There's no pressure. Obviously he's going to support his brother. He's going to support Tommy in every way. And, it's a really good situation for us. And I'm not sure there's been brothers at one position like that, at the same position, as a punter, kicker, on the same team. So it's kind of a unique deal as well.
Let's go next to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nicole Hardman, obviously on the reserve COVID list, but he's also the primary punt returner. If he's not available on Sunday, who would be the next man up? Would you turn to Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, Tyreek, obviously, is a pretty good option for us. We would use that option if we needed it. We have, like I said before, we have other guys. DeMarcus, he can do it. Fenton can play it. We have a number of guys that can do it. Pringle can play. So you never know which way we'd go there, but obviously, Tyreek would be probably the number one option.
I think Herbie has a follow-up here. Go ahead, Herbie. Oh, you're good? Okay. Coach, that's all we got for you today.
Oh, awesome. Take care, guys. See you later.
Appreciate you, Coach. All right, guys. We will have Coach Spags coming your way next. right, guys, we got Coach Spags walking in now. Hey, Coach, you ready for us?
Yeah, Brad, all set to go.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, look, good to see everybody. It's been a while. Enjoyed the bye week, and now it's good to be back at it and working and getting ready for the Raiders. So with that, I'll open it up.
Let's go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Steve, wanted to ask you about your pass rush. Just sort of, you guys are, by my stats, number one in the league in pressures, but around the middle of the league in sacks. So I just wanted to get your general thoughts on your pass rush and what you have to do to convert maybe some of those pressures into sacks. And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up as well.
Yeah, first of all, nice shades.
Thank you.
They look pretty good. Keeping the
When
sun.
you're working-
Nice to have the sun out there to have shades on for, right? Yeah, going back to the pass rush. Look, anytime we're getting 4, 5, 6, whatever we're bringing, and they're dropping back and throwing the football, what we're looking for is to try to affect the quarterback. Look at if you're doing that, not letting them sit on the spot, we feel like we have a better chance of being successful when the ball's thrown. So that part of it's good. Would we like to be finishing with more sacks to create, negative plays and get us off the field? Absolutely. But I think if we can continue to affect the quarterback, I think that works in our favor. So hopefully those will come. We'll see. Sacks part of it.
Okay. And just wanted to ask you also about DeAndre Baker. What do you remember about him when you were looking at the draft last year?
Yeah, it's been a while. Press corner. I don't have a lot to add to that. I've kind of let Brett Veach and his gang handle it. And when and if he's here, then we'll take it from there. One thing about watching guys, whether they've been somewhere before, once they're here and they're ours, we're working at them, doing what we're doing and getting them better. So we'll see what happens in that regard.
Next is Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve. When you look back at that first Raiders game, it still is kind of an outlier as far as the amount of big plays, the explosive plays that they were able to have. So when you look at that film, and I'm sure he did this long before Raiders Week returned, but what was it? Scheme, execution, miscommunication? What did you sort of identify as the culprit there?
It's a little bit of everything. It wasn't one specific item. I told you guys this before. After the game, I hold myself personally responsible for at least one of them because I just didn't think it was a good call and put C-Dub in a bad down. But look, that was 9 plays, 214 yards, if I remember correctly, and it kind of changed the whole game, and it did not help our football team. So, the emphasis has been not to allow explosive plays. It's that every week. I got to be a little bit smarter with the calls that I make and everybody's eyes and what they're doing. Everybody does their job a little bit better. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Let's go next to Omar Ruiz. Go ahead, Omar.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for taking the time. Andy seems to downplay it every year, his record after a play. Just curious, what sort of you see now here in Kansas City that you guys had, back in the early days in Philadelphia, that you think has led to some of this success after you guys have had some downtime?
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that before, and I think it's great. Let's hope that continues. I always worry about trends that if they're one way, do they go the other way? So we can't take that to the game, and that won't guarantee a victory. I don't give it much thought. I really don't have an answer for what the key is. The one thing Coach Reed has done is he stays pretty consistent. He's handled, I think, all these 5 weeks the same. So maybe there's something in that, but let's hope after Sunday we're saying the same thing.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, on the subject of Baker, but just not that's the jumping off point, but just in general, I mean, he struggled last year for the Giants on the field. I'm talking about just as a play. I mean, we know some of the stories, right, what he's been through off the field. But, is that a spot that you can have kind of an apprenticeship year and really come around in the second year? Is it a scheme thing? Because he was very highly thought of and very decorated in college. Have those kind of struggles, how much, can you, improve from one year to the next?
Yeah, I'm not aware of the struggles. We didn't dive into that. I mean, Brett and his staff have been all over that thing. And, anytime we can add a good football player, I think that's a good thing. I mean, anybody that comes in here, look, we start from scratch. We try to take the tools they have and make them better. You know, Sam and Dave, when anybody comes in here, they try to do that. And we go about it as if this person may someday have to help us. Whether that happens right away or later on, we don't know that. So we'll see. I mean, it's hard for me to tell that. Don't have him in here. Don't know a lot about him. Maybe I'll have more for you after, if he's here. You know, if we can get him for a little while.
Back to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hey, Coach Spags. Can you tell me what you expect from Derek Carr based on the first meeting this season?
Yeah. I expect him to be as smart as he was in that game. I just thought he did a terrific job the last time we played him and getting his offense in and out of good or bad plays, however you want to look at it. He was one step ahead of us, one step ahead of me the whole time. I give him a lot of credit for that. I've always thought he was that way, and I got a lot of respect for John and what they packaged together. We're going to try to be one step ahead in more plays than they are. And try to find a way to make some explosive plays ourselves. But I got a lot of respect for what they do and the quarterback that Derek is.
Got time for a couple more guys. We'll go Pete and then Steve. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, I know that L'Jarius Sneed returns to practice before the bye. I was curious what you've seen in his game at practice, and does it give you confidence that he might be able to pick up right where he left off, whether that is this week or in weeks to follow?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're talking one day. I mean, we had him in some walkthroughs on Tuesday, you know, yesterday morning walkthrough. So it was one. I don't know I don't know what the reps were. It's a little hard now, but I'm anxious and excited to get him out there again today. And then tomorrow on a Friday where we get a little speed against them. But, you know, we'll tread lightly. You know, it's been a while. He's got to get oiled up. I mean, I'd like to think we can get him right to where he was playing early in the season. But that probably is not realistic. So we'll take it one step at a time.
And we'll go last to Steve Wallace. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Steve. I know you talked a little bit about Carr, but he said yesterday, Derek Carr did, that if he has to, he's comfortable with getting into a shootout with Patrick. When you hear a guy come out and say a statement like that, did that change what you want to do defensively and how, as far as how aggressive you want to be?
I don't know that. Look, we got to go in and do what we do. I mean, we're putting a game plan together to hope against every team, you know, to hopefully keep the points total down. I mean, our job defensively is, you know, points allowed, and no matter how we do it, turnovers or negative plays, sacks, interceptions, whatever it is, we got to try to find a way to keep the other team from putting points on the board. Again, I go back. I got a lot of respect for this offense, the quarterback, the head coach, all the weapons that they have. I think our guys on defense feel the same way. I also think they accept the challenge and are looking forward to it. I mean, it's a good rivalry and a good game, and they did. They listened. They kicked our butt the first time. We hope that doesn't happen again.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, guys, we got EB coming up next. Just a heads up as well. I know I've got some text from you guys. Clarification on Taco. Taco is not practicing today. Sorry. He is not.
I was told we got a hot mic here, so I'm not going to do any extra cussing behind the scenes. Oh, hot mic's on.
We're ready whenever you are, Coach.
All right. Good afternoon. I hope that everyone's family's doing great and everybody's staying healthy. Feels good coming off a bye week. I thought our guys played a hell of a game a few weeks back, finding a way to finish and doing whatever we needed to do to help the Chiefs win. And I thought it was a great team victory. I thought our guys played hard. We played fast, and we did just what we needed to do to find a way to come across the finish line. Now, after that, coming off a bye week, it feels good. Guys are fresh, mentally refreshed, re-energized. Now it's time to get ready for a big opponent who's doing a hell of a job of playing hard and playing fast on the defensive side of the ball. And I know our guys are excited to face this opponent. With all that said, I'm all ears.
Let's go first to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, just the overall, first of all, the victory lap. We've kind of heard everybody else talk about it. Just your thoughts on the Raiders and how much press that's getting in both towns, that they took a lap around in their bus after the game. I'm curious if you've ever done it, and then Brad, I'll have a follow up.
So I'm honestly just hearing about the victory lap, and it doesn't mean anything. You guys got to understand, I was raised in this division. I played with the San Diego Chargers back in the day, so we understand what the AFC West is all about. Now, maybe the bus driver took a wrong turn and had to just circle the stadium, but none of that matters. It really doesn't shape how we're going to prepare or do anything different. The only thing that we need to know is to make sure that we're mentally and physically prepared to go out and play a 60-minute hard-fought battle. And I do know this: if our guys, all right, are allowing their personalities to show, and they're playing hard, and they're playing fast, and they're being accountable to one another, we'll give ourselves a chance to have a chance.
And then protection-wise, they really got after Patrick a lot with four guys and had to pressure him. Why did they seem to be so effective without having to bring extra people?
Well, I just thought they played. It was obvious they played better than what we did. And at the end of the day, kudos to them. They did an outstanding job of coming in here and doing what they needed to do. I've said this before. We got exactly what we deserved. Now it's up to us to make sure that we're mentally and physically ready for the battle in which we're about to face.
Go next to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. Sammy Watkins obviously put in his first full practice yesterday, first time since week 5. How did he look to you? You mentioned refreshed earlier, but I'm just curious, does he have any rust in there? And Brad, I'll have a follow-up after this.
You know what? Sammy looks just like Sammy. He came out, he did some good things, and it's good having him back out there. Just the chemistry of all those guys being out there, communicating with one another, working together. On top of that, competing to make each other better. But, it's a good addition, having another piece of the puzzle back healthy. He should be fresh and ready to go.
And of the wide receiver core, obviously Mecole Hardman, his status is kind of iffy for this week on the reserve COVID list. But if Tyreek Hill is called upon to return punts, what are some of the challenges of balancing what you want to do offensively, knowing that one of your key pieces might also have to return punts?
You know what? We're going to do whatever it takes to help us to win. So I know this: Tyreek he's done it in the past. He understands the challenge that he'll be facing, and I'm actually kind of excited. What better opportunity for him to steal another moment of getting the ball and doing what he does? Yeah, I'm gonna get my popcorn as well.
Next to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Well, yeah, get your popcorn ready, Coach. That's exactly right. I just want to ask you about, you've mentioned before Patrick Mahomes being a, quote, competitive prick, to use your words. And he said yesterday that all that work that goes into preparing for this game and how it burns him, that they work so hard and then to lose. Have you seen more of that competitive prick, even more so than usual this week, considering that you guys lost to the Raiders?
Every single day. And here's the thing. It shined after that game. It shined before the game. But that's who Pat is. Pat is very, very competitive. He wants to be the very best at everything that he does. And one thing you got to understand, not just about Pat, but one thing that we discuss here, and I think our guys, they really have a great feel for this and they understand this, okay? In order to appreciate winning, you have to despise losing. So what does that mean? We have to do everything, all right, leading up to that game to make sure that we don't experience that feeling. So what does that mean? That means we got to study a little bit more intense, okay? We got to make sure that we're being fundamentally sound with our proper footwork. It could be recognizing the coverage, okay, from Pat's point of view or from a receiver point of view. Then when it's all said and done with, making sure the effort and the attitude is where it needs to be, and we're flying around and we're matching and outplaying their energy and their effort and their output. So that's what it's all about. It's making sure that we're doing everything under the sun so we don't have to have that feeling of emotion, of disappointment when the game is all said and done with.
Got time for a few more guys. We'll go right down the line. Adam, Pete, and then Haley. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Eric, wanted to get your perspective as someone who not only has coached for a while with Andy, but also played for him for 1 year, right?
Yes.
Why do so many guys like playing for him? And Brad will have one quick follow-up as well.
You know what it is? It's about the consistency in who he is. Coach Andy Reid is the same man that I've ever known. Okay, he's a loving father figure. Obviously, he's a great husband. He's a great parent, but he's also a great head coach that makes everyone feel like they're the most important piece of the puzzle. And I think that's very important because one thing it demonstrates leadership. It's making sure that everybody feels that they have a part of what we're building and what we have done. So those are the little things that just adds up to big things, because when it's all said and done with, not only as coaches, okay, but players, training room staff, equipment, so on and so forth, the building wants to make sure that we're doing everything under the sun to make sure our coach is one of the most successful coaches in the business.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but your year with him, you were basically a special teams player.
Yes.
How did he make you, in your words, feel like you were the most important piece of the puzzle? How did he do that with you?
Put it this way, I share this with you. I was offered to stay with another team, an enormous amount of money, and I decided to go and play for Philly for the league minimum. And league minimum, during that time ain't nothing compared to what it is now. But I will say this. When I went on that trip and I visited the Philadelphia Eagles, I felt at home. I felt a part of something. I felt a part of a building block that was necessary to help them to start it off. I was a part of a foundation that coach wanted to lay. And so I'm very proud to say, hey, in 1999, I was a part of the Philadelphia Eagles. Why? Because that foundation started something very special, and it just continued to improve each and every year, brick by brick and step by step.
Next, Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Maybe this question is pretty unique to what would be 2020, but I mean, you, Patrick, and Andy are this dynamic trio and really attacking defensive weaknesses. And then flash across the screen yesterday, there's 6 players added to the COVID list, including a couple defensive starters. How does that alter your preparation? Is it back to a little bit more older film work? How did you guys take that news?
You know what? You don't change anything. You don't deviate from the norms, because one thing I do understand is that Coach Gruden is a hell of a coach. He's going to do whatever he needs to do to get his team prepared and ready to play. Coach Gunn, their defensive coordinator, he's the same way. So they're going to continue being exactly who they are. Our job is not to allow anything to be a distraction, because the only thing we want to make sure that our guys have a complete understanding of the game plan, and that we go out and execute it each and every day as we prepare for this Sunday. And then that's going to give us the opportunity and the confidence to go out and play the way we expect to play. So regardless of what's taking place, I hate that the fact that, that they have to do that and what has taken place because of what we're living in. And no one wants anybody to get sick and get caught up with this virus that we're all dealing with. But when it's all said and done with, we just want to make sure that we're at full strength. They're at full strength, and the chips will fall wherever they fall.
We'll go last to Haley Lewis. Go ahead, Haley.
Hey, Coach. It seems like Mahomes really can't help himself from breaking every single record. And right now he's on track to be the only NFL quarterback to get 40 touchdowns and fewer than 5 interceptions all in the same season. Right now he only has one of those. And of course, it came against the Raiders. I was wondering if you guys have talked about the fact that his one interception this year came against the Raiders, and if you think that there's really any record that Mahomes can't break.
You know what? It ain't anything that we've discussed. One thing about Pat takes a tremendous amount of pride in studying and preparing. He knows exactly what took place and what happened in that game, and he understands that he threw an interception in that particular game. But when it's all said and done with, we just want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help us as a team to be prepared to handle what's about this upcoming opponent. And when it's all said and done with, that's all what matters. And I guarantee you, Pat will tell you the same. We're not going to treat this game any bigger or any lower than any other opponent. We understand the Raiders are playing very damn good football. I have the utmost respect for them. When it's all said and done with, we just got to go out and play Kansas City Chiefs football, let our personalities show, and make sure that we're being accountable to one another for 60 consecutive minutes.
Coach, we appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. You guys take care.
You too. All right, guys, we got Coach Heck coming up next, and we are a little bit behind, so we're going to roll through here. But Coach Heck will be our next person. Oh, Coach, we got to tilt that camera up just a little bit. There we go. Perfect.
That works.
All right. That's better. We'll start first with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, I had a couple questions about Eric Fisher. As you remember, things were a little bit rough for him his first couple of years in the NFL. What did you see from him during that time that would lead you to believe he would eventually come through to the other side and become a starter on a Super Bowl team?
Yeah.
And Brad, I'll have a follow-up as well. Sorry.
Sure. One thing we knew about Fish when we got him was what a great athlete he was. And he can do some things physically that a lot of people can't do. So that was always there. And then you add into that, and like any young player, you go through some ups and downs, you go through some struggles. In the end, it makes you better for it if you push through it. He came to work every day. He's a very good worker. And he pushed through it. And then every year I learned something. I put this in my hip pocket. I've gained some experience. He matured strength-wise. So what we've seen out of Eric is he's gotten better every year that he's been here, in more ways than one, not just as a player, but as a leader on this football team as well.
Yeah, and I understand that every player develops at his own rate. Some guys faster than others. But in his case, what kind of took so long? Why was did it take a few years for him to become what he is now?
Well, I might phrase that differently. I see it a little differently. I think, when you come in as the number one pick in the draft, there's a level of expectation, whether that's real or not, but a player feels that. But if you look at what's real, okay, hey, there's a young guy. He's got to learn how to play in this league. He's got to learn the competition he's going against. I was a young left tackle in this league myself, and it took me a while. I didn't play my best ball until my 7th year. So by that, I'd say Fish was miles ahead of where I was. I've been very pleased with him, and we're lucky to have him.
We'll go Sarin and then Matt. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, your tackles missing some time and everything from practice. How much does that affect, kind of trying to come together? And then just I'll give you the follow-up is just what was the problem? The Raiders really got the most pressure on you guys in that first game. And what did they do that made them so effective only bringing 4?
Yeah. Well, to your first question, we're fortunate in we've got 2 veteran, very experienced tackles in Mitch and Fish. And so, yeah, while we want guys here practicing, working whenever they can, hey, stuff happens. You guys have to get better if they've got an injury. We got a little COVID situation this week. Now we got Fish back in the fold working. But they can draw on their experience. And so the silver lining in having those guys out for a bit is we get other guys some much needed work. We get a chance to develop young guys. Yasir Durant jumps in last week, gets 13 snaps in a ball game against a good rusher, did a nice job. He gets some more work. It gives us a chance to move guys around in there, which we love to do, just to get them some extra training. So that's the plus of that. And then with regards to the game against the Raiders previously, look, we came out of that thinking we've got to do a better job. We got to put our nose to the grindstone, get to work. We got outplayed there, and those guys got the win. So they did a nice job. It's a young, aggressive, talented group, well coached, and they come to play. They play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and they got us that day. So we know the challenge that's in store for us. We know what we're capable of, and we're working our tails off to go out there and compete and get a win.
We'll go last to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, just two quick questions. One, you had Austin come back to start at center just before the bye. Is it kind of your view that when he's healthy, that Austin is your starter there at center? And then secondly, I mean, you mentioned the 13 snaps from Yasir Durant. What did you see from those 13 snaps that you like?
Yes, Austin's our starter at center, and we feel like we've got two capable starters there. When you talk about Daniel Kilgore, who filled in and did great, and he's played a long time in this league. It was good to get Austin back healthy. It was also good to get Daniel that work. We're going to need all hands on deck before this is all said and done. I can promise you that. And then Yasir, I was really pleased. Hey, didn't blink, in he goes. Gets into some tough third down situations. Handles a very good pass rusher who's got a wicked spin move. Handled that nicely. And the other thing, with Yasir is besides being able to play multiple positions, because we've developed him at guard as well. He knows those spots, but he's a big, strong man. Okay, so when he's got his feet in the ground and he uses his length, it's awful tough for a defender to get around him. I'm very excited about him.
Okay, Nick, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, guys, we got Coach Madison coming your way next. Hey, Coach, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
All right, if you're ready to get started, we'll start with Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, always a pleasure to see you.
All right, what's up, baby?
Hey, it's same old, same old. Hey, you've obviously played at a high level in the NFL, a two-time former All-Pro, but when a cornerback seems to go through a period of struggles, what is your message to them as drawn from your own experience as a cornerback and also as a coach?
And when you going through struggles at this position, we always talk about you got to have a short memory because other teams are going to continue to watch the film, see the little small nuances that you're not picking up, and they're going to continue to try to attack those issues. But you got to work through them. And when you have practice time and you have downtime, and after practice and the coaches are giving you all the little small nuggets, you have to go out there and practice on them. But majority of that stuff is really done in the off season because it moves so fast through the course of the season, and one game plan switches throughout the course of the week. It's kind of hard to fix little small things. So during the off season, where we always talk about players, you have to get this stuff done in the off season, then just make little adjustments during the season.
And specifically that coach, obviously Charvarius Ward was hard on himself on Twitter. He mentioned after the Jets game he was in a slump. How encouraged are you when you see a player be hard on himself like that?
Just try to talk him through it. And I was looking at him like, why are you so hard on yourself? You're doing some really good things, even though you have one hand. But he wanted to be that dominant corner, throughout the course of the season. But things come up, injuries happen. This is the NFL. And, guys, they're going to watch those things throughout the course of the season. And, they get injury reports and they're going to try to attack those things. But he was able to fight through it and then just continue just talking through them and then just encouraging him throughout the course of that time. And now he's playing very well. So just happy for him that he's able to stick with it and not get into a deep funk and being able to fight his way out of it.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey Sam, this is kind of a two-part question for you, but can you explain what the mood and the atmosphere was with the guys watching the film shortly after the loss to the Raiders, and how it may have changed, or what the mood was like looking at it now going into the rematch on Sunday?
One of the things when you look at those guys and you listen to them going to the locker room, they felt that they let each other down because there was some plays that was left out there on the football field, and then just listening to them throughout the course of the meeting. And, they have their little group sessions and, you can hear the things over the top. Listen, guys, if we make one or two plays on third down, we get off the football field, we win that game. And, now when they come out of practice yesterday, they're flying around, they're moving around, they're thinking about it, they're talking about it. And, even in their breaks, throughout the course of the meetings, those are the little things that they're talking about. These guys know that they're going to get their very best from each and every team every single week, and they know they have to put their best foot forward, and that's what we're trying to portray to them. You can't take anybody lightly. You got to be prepared every single week. You're going to see some new things. You're going to see some old things. But bottom line is you got to expect anything from anybody any given week. So, just having these guys and listening to one another and talking football on a consistent basis, that's the most encouraging part out of this group of guys that we have, not only on the defensive side, but on the offensive side as well. That's how close these guys are. They talk one another and they talk through a lot of things.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Sam. With regard to L'Jarius Sneed, whether he comes back this week, next week, whenever it is, what's reasonable to expect from a young guy like that when he's first getting back into this after missing so much time? And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up.
Well, I'm just the way that he started off at the beginning of the season. I'm trying to see if he can pick up right where he left off, because he was playing at a high level. And just from his maturity since he stepped into the building, you can really see it, on a daily basis with this kid. So I'm just really happy to just see how he worked his way through. And normally when you get young guys in this situation, they get an injury, they will fall into a tank. Every single day this kid came with a smile on his face. He was talking football. He was encouraged, and, he didn't have a slump, and he didn't get into a slump. So, just happy to just see him running around out there. He did a lot of conditioning throughout the course of, the time that he was down, and, out there on scout team, he was moving around extremely well. So, it's just going to be a situation where Coach Reed, makes a decision if he's going to be up or he's going to be down, and Coach Spags feeling comfortable enough to be able to implement him into the defense, but just trying to work his way back in so we don't have any setbacks.
Yeah. And also DeAndre Baker, I'm just wondering what you remember about him when he was coming out in the draft last year.
Very a press corner, a physical guy, a ball hawk, a guy that's always around the football. I've known this kid for a very long time, from Florida. But we don't really know. So we just want to get him into the building, get him used to the Kansas City way of doing things and implementing that. But when you have an opportunity to grab a first round talent and implement into your scheme, into your system, Vicha and Coach Reed, they did an awesome job of having an opportunity to get in there. So, getting him and getting him caught up to speed the way that we do things, that's going to be the most important part.
We've got two left, guys. We'll go Seren and then Pete to close it out. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, kind of to follow up on that, he had some struggles, right? Young players will do that, but he struggled a lot really with the Giants. How much is that, you come in overconfident out of the SEC? I'm talking in general. I know you don't have him in here and working with him, but, and how much better can you get year one to year two after you've had a tough first year?
It's going to start right here, and it's going to start up here, so it's our job to get him in a position to be successful. Just when we were doing and I was doing, my evaluation of him, I thought, if I had opportunity to work with him as well as Coach Merritt, I think that we would be able to get him in a position, and that's what we're going to have to do. Beach brings the talent and Coach Reed brings it, and it's our job to get him, to playing fast, understanding the system, and, believing in themselves. And that's one of the things, with the group of guys that we have in our room, they don't shy away from work. And, being that he's been out of football for a time in a while now, he's just got to catch up speed and the speed of the room. And, having guys like Breland, Tyron, and Ward as well, who's picked up their level of play, he's going to have to just fit in exactly where these guys are. And understanding that we do still have some very talented young corners on our team with Sneed as well as Bo Keys and the rest of the guys, Fenton. So, seeing the way that we played so far, and hopefully he just got to add to what his skill set is to what we already have in the room.
And let's go to Pete Sweeney next. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, Juan Thornhill, as we know, was playing really strong before the playoffs last year in the big injury. So you've had a chance the bye week to maybe evaluate how he's looked. How is his progress and maybe getting back to that level of play?
We working at it every single day. It baffles me, just to see how quickly he's made it back. 8 months. I've been around this game for a very long time, and seeing guys in these type of situations, it takes them a year and a half to really get back. But the way that he fought throughout the course of the offseason, and being that he had a lot of downtime, and it was spit of him recovering and not out there running and jumping and moving around and doing a lot of rehab. Coach Reed and the trainers down there, they got him back really, really fast. But he's still a work in progress, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get stronger. He knows the defense, so that's the great part about it. Having more knowledge and not having to think as much. Whereas the beginning of last year, he had to think. Now he don't really have to think as much, and he can just focus on what's in front of him, getting the calls out, and then just going to make plays. So he's getting better every single week. He just need to get stronger and hopefully have no setbacks. But he's doing an awesome job, and being up for a young guy to have that type of injury and coming back this fast.
Coach Madison, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. All right, guys, we got Coach Daly coming up next. Hey, Coach. Are you
How's
ready?
everybody doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Great.
Good. We'll get started with Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Brendan. This has been a discussion and a topic that's gone on since you've been with the team, but the idea that Chris wants to show more of himself on the edge, just you got to do it a little bit these last couple of weeks. Just how much can that be an element moving forward if Chris can be, productive both on the inside and on the edge if needed?
Yeah, I think that's helpful to all of us. Anywhere he's productive, we want to use him. There's certain situations where that becomes more viable than others. There's a handful of things that factor into that. He's so good inside and does such a great job getting the push in the middle and also in the run game in the middle that, the majority of his time has been spent in there. But that's definitely something we look at each week when we put the game plan together and we look at the matchups, the issues that we've got to deal with from an offensive standpoint. And then also, what are our options in terms of people available and how do we best serve the needs of the entire defense to help us win the game.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Brendan, just wanted to get your thoughts on where you guys are with the pass rush part of it through the first half of the season in general. And Brad, I'll have a quick follow-up when he's done.
So, it's an ongoing process, I would say, with the pass rush and an evolving situation. I think we've done some good things at times. I think we aspire to improve and continue to get better, and we're working hard at doing that. I feel like, we've executed some things really well, and there's certain things that we haven't executed as well in terms of the game plan. And each week, brings different challenges, mobile quarterbacks versus quarterbacks that are more pocket passers and things of that nature. But we're grinding through it. We've done a bunch of evaluation through the bye week. And, as with everything we're doing, we're going to try to continue to improve.
Okay. And the stats I have at least show you guys are number one in the league in pressures, but somewhere in the middle of the league in terms of sacks. So what do you have to do to convert? I know pressure is a good thing in and of itself. I'm not saying that, but what do you have to do to convert one to the other the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think the stats, you can look at the stats and they can tell a story. I'm not sure they tell the whole story for you. Some of the, it's fractions of inches in this game. The difference between a quarterback hit and a sack, between a sack and a sack force fumble, it's fractions of seconds. And, our execution needs to continue to improve would be my best answer. And I'd say, mix of rush and coverage as well. Tighter coverage gives you that extra moment to get there. The rush being disruptive helps the coverage end of things. And so, tying that all together and in general, to answer your question, it's simple execution on all ends. And that goes through communication. It goes through the physical part of it. on the field. It goes into the technique of executing it.
Let's go next to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. I just want to ask you about Tershawn Wharton. UDFA, small school guy. He's really impressed this season, though. What's impressed you about him this year?
Well, he has been impressive. I would agree with that statement. And his work ethic and the way he handles the day-to-day operation, you would not know that this guy is a rookie. You would not know that this guy came from a small school, to be quite honest with you. He has a professional demeanor and a work ethic and a maturity about him that's beyond his years. Been pleased with the way he operates both off the field and on the field, from a practice standpoint, from a game standpoint. The effort that he puts in has been impressive to me.
And we'll go last to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Brennan. I was also going to ask about Turk. You saw him play in college. Obviously, you probably hear some things, and you can hear a coach say that a guy's got a good work ethic, but I assume you have to rely on other stuff as well. What else did you like about him when you saw him in college?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you certainly saw some physical attributes. And I would say this, I would give a tremendous amount of credit to our scouting department and for them identifying him and kind of bringing him to the table. But what you saw him, in my opinion, when I first came to know him, was as the scouting department gave them to me. And I started watching the East-West Shrine game. And, he went to that game and did some really good things, both in practice and in the game. And he was dynamic in the one-on-one pass rush settings. He was physical in the run drills that they did. You turn on the game tape, his effort in pursuit was fantastic. So that kind of sparked the interest, if you will. He doesn't meet all the prototype measurables and some of those different things. And coming from a small school, the level of competition, when you go to the college game tape, you've got to make some, determination as to how that's going to project to the NFL level when he's playing against better quality competition. But he's certainly, done a nice job for us, and we're excited to have him. We're thankful to have him, and we hope that he continues to progress, which he's showed that he's got the ability to do that.
Coach Daly, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too. All right, guys, we got Tyron coming up next. Hey, T, are you ready for us?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get started with Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
All right, hope you're doing well, man.
Doing well.
Oh, good, man. Hey, twofold question, both kind of contrasting topics, but one, obviously after the Raiders game, you said it's good to have some motivation, and going forward, that's what we'll lean on. Just how have you been more motivated after that game? And then also want to ask you about your Tyrants turkeys and what you're doing today, and how cool is that for you to continue giving to the community even during these COVID times?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, obviously a few weeks ago about the Raiders, we hadn't lost a game in a while. I think defensively, we hadn't really played that bad in a while. So for us, it was a gut check. It was a reality check for us. And, like I said after that game, I thought we needed it. Obviously we coming off the Super Bowl victory and starting the season the way we started it, you can kind of get complacent. You can kind of think that things are always going to go your way. So I was glad that we kind of, had that moment. Because we've really been getting better in my mind since that day. So, and then, with the holiday season approaching, obviously, it's been a rough time for everybody. And for me and my foundation, we're just trying to do our best to lighten the load, to help at least one family smile, to make one kid, just remember the good times, from this year. So I'm grateful to have a platform to be able to have a foundation to be able to impact and really try my best to help people.
Let's go next to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Tyron. Talk to me a little bit about Derek Carr, what you saw in that game from him and what you can expect this time around.
Well, I thought he played a great game. I thought he got to the line of scrimmage. He was patient. He was calm, got his team in the right place, and he was able to really be effective. And I think even, watching, film of him, really the last couple of weeks, that's what going to have to really focus on is how can we disrupt him in the pocket? How can we get him to move his feet? How can our big guys up front, really impact the game? And then on the back end, how can we stop those big shots that they love to take? And I think John Gruden and Derek Carr, they've really been working well together. And you can kind of see that on tape. And so it's going to be very important for us to really hone in on him from the very first play, to mix up different disguises, to not give him the easy way out, to really make him work, from down to down.
Let's go next to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Lebo.
Hey, Tyron. This game obviously meant a lot for the Raiders. They took this victory lap around your parking lot. Can I ask you about that? Does that resonate in the locker room with you guys? And you've been on a couple of different teams. How long does it take you to get acclimated into a rivalry like that, where things like that could happen and you care about it?
Well, I think, for me, I think all these games are important. I think this is the NFL, and you got to try your best to win. Each and every week. I think division games are even more important. So I don't think it's any speech that need to be made, or even if the other team happens to give you some bulletin board material, it's like, okay, this is still a division game. It's still a big game, no matter what happened last time. So I think that's really our focus, right now, is how can we just play our best game? How can we be the best, version of the Chiefs?
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
All right, I remember back in January during the playoff run how you mentioned that the bye week was really the pivotal moment and when you guys took another level on defense. With much of the same guys back in year two, what gives you confidence that you guys can reach another level coming off this bye week?
Well, I think we got great coaches, for one. And then I think we got some players in our room that are just motivated to be the best, that they can be. And I think that, a lot of guys are always looking in the mirror, being critical of themselves first, but I like to say our coaches, they're really the ones that's studying the analytics and all the different things, the little things that we kind of overlook to get better at. So I'd probably say that bye week is good from that standpoint, because you get away from scouting other teams, and now you're able to kind of self-scout yourself. And I think that's really what's, put some teams, in the right position going forward.
Got time for a couple more guys. We'll go Sam and then Adam. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tyron, you mentioned that the Raiders like to take their shots. A couple of those shots got you guys last time. I'm wondering if you've pinpointed the reason for that. And also, is this game just one of 16 for you guys? Or when a team does get you, are you looking a little bit more forward to this game?
Yeah, I don't think you ever want to lose two times, especially to the same team, especially to a division team, especially to a team that, these two franchises go way back. And I think the answer to the first part of your question, it comes down to us on the back end too, as well. Not giving him that easy look, not giving him the easy read. And I thought we did that maybe one or two, a few more times than we would have liked, last time. And I thought like I said, his presence in the pocket, I think he's really comfortable. He's in control when he gets, to the line of scrimmage. And so if we can mix up certain looks, if we could disguise certain looks, and then get to our spots, I think we'll be in a better position defensively.
We'll go last to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Tyron. Henry Ruggs had a couple big plays against you guys the last time. Is it one thing to see a guy on paper runs a 4.2 and also to maybe see him on video? You can see that he runs fast, but is it another to experience that and get a real feel for it when you're playing against him, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, we've had great work against, a lot of speed guys. I think for us, it comes down to, just understanding, football and understanding, where we're at on the field. A lot of times, he's pretty fast. He runs by people, but a lot of those routes are scheme routes. And if we can kind of, see that pre-snap, I think it'll put us in a better position, to try our best to stay on top of him, because he's one of those guys that, if he's even, he's leaving. So the biggest part for us is obviously to get hands on him at the line of scrimmage, but, see where he is in a formation, because I think that it does say a lot, about what they want to do with him, when he's in certain spots.
Tyron, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, that is it for today. Give me 1 second here, and I'll jump back on if you have any questions.
Bye.